Hello, and thank you for stopping by. I'm your host, Jerry-rouce, and welcome to Positive Power 21 Network, where you get your positive on. This is a worldwide podcast for growth, wealth, and success. Thank you.
Positive Power 21.org, Internet Radio.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Jerry-Royce Show, and welcome to Positive Power 21. I am the voice of Jerry-Royce, and when it's all positive, it's all power. That's Positive Power 21. And today's Power 21 gold sponsors are the Resume Guy. He's at www.career-image.com. There's a lot of people out there looking for jobs right now, and you're wondering why you're not getting that interview. It may be because your resume is raggedy. So you may want to have the Resume Guy check it out. And again, that's www.career-image.com, and ask for Reggie Gant. He's the Resume Guy. And also we have fasttechsolutions.net. It's all on our home page for your internet needs. Just click on the link, and he does home security systems as well as repairs and rebuild computer infrastructures. For those of you who are wondering why your network is running so slow, spend some money now and call fasttechsolutions.net and tell them Jerry sent you and get yourself a nice discount. Also, we have REI Heritage Tours in Cambridge, Maryland, home of Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. And they have a museum, and they're sponsoring a conference coming up June 13th through 14th. That's right. I think it's Harriet Tubman's birthday. She's celebrating some big anniversary, along with a national park that's been honored in her name, where the federal government has embarked over $17 million is going to be used to build this monument to honor her heritage. All right. And we have Lori Williams, the beautiful songbird out of Washington, D.C. CDs on sale on positivepower21.org while they last, so the stocks are going low. So check her out. She has an album out there called Eclipse of the Soul, and that's a beautiful CD. And I didn't mention she is a jazz soloist coming out of the Washington, D.C. area. I want to thank my man Gerald Green from out in L.A. He released a book a few years ago in 2012 called Let Me Be a Vessel. Woo, powerful, powerful publication. So if you're trying to find yourself and things are not looking too good, reach for his book. He contains nothing but God's words and the beautiful poems and songs written by Gerald Green. He used to be a former drummer back in the 70s and the 80s when he had groups like Shalimar and the Barge, and Michael Jackson was doing that thing. So check him out. Also, he has a book that's going to be released shortly called Heart Towards Home. It's not ready for Amazon yet, but look out for that one, Heart Towards Home. And that was a powerful reading that he gave us the other night. So check out this show on positivepower21.org. You go out to the front page. I think on the second page under Showtime, you'll see a player. Just click on it. Look for his name under the menu. Also, we want to thank Lavette Saunier. She just released a book called Mulholland Diaries. Mulholland Diaries. It's a fictional book, but a lot of it's based on some of her life when she was hanging out in L.A. among the 1% and the 5% population, the rich, the billionaires. Yeah, she partied with their kids, so she can tell you everything that went on in her book called Mulholland Diaries, and she's at lavettesaunier.com, and you can Google her. And also the guy that made all this stuff happen, all these great authors coming on this show, Bernard Blue Rowell. He has a book called Son, I Got Your Back. Son, I Got Your Back. It's about bullying. Very important topic today. And this is about how a father helped his son overcome some bullies in the area. All right. Now, that's a big topic nowadays. All right, today on the show we have Eric L. Williamson. He's the president and CEO of his company called Tailors Training Solutions, and he's at tailoredtrainingsolutions.com. Eric has over 15 years of leadership and management experience in the private and public sectors. Throughout this extensive experience, he has demonstrated effective communication, leadership, and empathy towards his colleagues and staff, which has allowed him to successfully work with colleagues, supervise teams, manage offices, achieve maximum productivity in adverse situations. He recognized that soft skills training has an economic value on businesses and a positive impact on employees and customers. These qualities drive him to help companies improve its productivity and bottom line while enhancing work relationships, communication, and morale between internal and external stakeholders. Also, Eric has earned his bachelor's degree from Connecticut College and an MBA from the University of New Haven. His educational background, his distinct knowledge and experience in the private and public industry has been applied to each skill training session. He guarantees results that can be measured throughout his soft skills training and curriculum focus to improve business productivity, employees' communication, employee morale, and employee satisfaction. Eric L. Williamson, welcome to Positive Power. How you doing, sir?
Hey, thanks a lot, Jerry, for having me. I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Great, man. And it's good to have you on the show, man. I was really impressed with your presentation when we had that all-male summit over at Woodlawn High School in Baltimore. You had a chance to talk a little bit what you was doing, what you called your, I think it was your C plan to the young boys, right. And they was all over it, man. Their eyes just lit up, man. And they had an opportunity to hear you give a small presentation what you was doing, and of course I said, wow, that is so interesting, man. We got to get you on the show, find out what you're doing out there with your C plan. So tell us all about Tailored Training Solutions and what it's all about.
Oh, well, thanks again for having me, Jerry. And basically, Tailored Training Solutions is a business in which we provide soft skills training to various businesses, organizations, high schools, and universities. And basically what we do is that we prepare people to survive and thrive in the working environment. There's not a lot of investment that I find in high school students and college students to prepare them for the real world situation, which is working from 9 to 5 or whatever the career that they may be. And at the same time, students and also professionals, they need that refresher, that ability to be able to thrive in the workplace and succeed, whether you want to be promoted or whether you just want to continue doing what you're doing. There's various skill sets such as emotional intelligence and effective communication, team building, and also professional speaking that are requirements in order to do the job that you currently do. I've provided, I think you mentioned before in my biography that, I have 15 years of leadership experience in working in the private and public sectors. And basically, I think I had that aha moment a while back where I'm working in the public sector and I'm helping people and at the same time I'm motivating, I'm coaching all different types of employees and students, and I'm seeing them thrive and I'm seeing them succeed and carry out their passions, and all of a sudden I realized that, there's a lot of people that can benefit from this. Exactly. And I just wanted to be able to give something back to all different types of people, and I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing here, and I really appreciate you having me on my show so I can share a little bit more about Tailored Training Solutions. Absolutely,
man. This is a beautiful professional website. Everything is laid out right there. Now, my question is, this thing looks like a full-time job, man, and I know you have a full-time job. Now,
right.
Do you have a team? Do you have a team that's helping you, or basically, you're just taking time off and you go into businesses and do 1 or 2 day workshops? I've seen some of the contractors that we have working with the federal government. I know some of them say, hey, I do have another job, but this is my business, and they do it a couple of times a year. Now, what's your situation? How are you managing all of this?
Oh, it's not easy. It's not easy, but luckily and thankfully, and I just pray to God that I have, a life partner with me, my wife, who's been taking an active role, who's actually the owner of the company, who's been really supporting me and really following up and just really leading, a lot of this effort with me. It definitely takes more than one person, but, my wife has, similar passions. She was the one who actually inspired me just because, I know she's gone through some hard times at her previous working environments. And, sometimes I used to try to give her the motivation and encouragement and guidance to have her manage up and deal with certain situations. And it was part of that aha moment that I just referred to. It was just like, you know what? She was able to survive in her previous work experience and get what she wanted in the future by learning from her previous experiences in the work environment. And we just came together and said, you know what, why don't we try to give back? Why don't we try to figure out what people are needing, what the bottom line is? The thing about our business is that we're different than other companies, because a lot of companies, they come to businesses and they provide their workshop training, and at the end of the day, everyone's inspired and they're motivated to move on, and then a few months later, that's it. They're back to the same depression. They're back to the same complaints and the same concerns that they have. And the difference, what we do is that we do a guaranteed follow-up training. It's actually a requirement.
Oh, wow.
So within the 3 to 6 month period, what we do a thorough assessment, starting from the initial consultation. And we try to determine what the needs are for the specific areas of the work environment and the personnel that we're working with. And what we do is we have self-assessments. We do intensive and very active workshop trainings. 3 months later, we check with the staff again. We address additional issues. We stay in touch within that period, and then we can also do another one at the 6 month period. And we continue those partnerships to be able to make sure that we forge a relationship and solve an issue that is definitely needing here. I couldn't help but what's that?
Now I was going to say, is that twofold? Like, in other words, doing a follow-up, does that kind of help with referrals at the same time? Because now the customer understands that you're serious about the business and you want to make sure that they're processing what you're giving them. Then they say, hey, I should recommend this guy. Or someone comes to them, they got to be excited about you doing something like that. Because I've never heard of any businesses doing follow-ups. And that's part of the whole cost, everything?
Yeah. Yes, it's all included. I mean, what we basically do is once we have the initial consultation, we discuss the parameters and how we want to move forward based on the needs. So a lot of the things that we do moving forward is dictated upon what that initial consultation may bring, because different places of employment require different sets of needs. So we want to tailor our training to meet their needs, which is hence Tailored Training Solutions. Right.
Good. Now, I'm reading your testimonies. One person say, I would recommend him to do this presentation to others. Then one guy say, great presentation, very interactive. I would definitely recommend this presentation to others at my job. The presenter was excellent. I strongly recommend to others at my job. He's an amazing presenter with a talent for delivering a clear, concise message. That's important. Presentation, communicate. We talked to the young boys about that. Of course, we start out, we got them all interactive. That's one of my formulas too, is get people involved. You don't want them just sit back, taking notes, thinking about a cup of coffee. And I knew with young kids, you got to engage them really fast. So I said, hey, let's just go ahead and find out what they really like to do. What's their favorite thing? Now, being interactive, how do you start your presentation out with a group? You walk in the room. What's different about Tailors Training Solutions than another company that's doing the same thing?
Well, we are very flexible and we are very versatile in our delivery, and a lot of the delivery depends on the type of audience that we have. For example, last week when I participated in that event, which was great, by the way, it was a very valuable experience. It was a very relaxed environment. And although we did have an agenda, we wavered off the agenda to talk about the kids. And that situation, I wanted to be able to show that I was relaxed, that I was really genuinely interested in what they had to provide. And as you stated before, those kids, they were genuinely interested in what we had to say, because we went through those situations. I spent about a few visits at that same high school, and I taught some junior ROTC students on a few occasions about a few subjects. One of them was emotional intelligence. And one of the core things that I do whenever I have a presentation is I engage the audience. The audience has to participate. So I'll ask questions. I'll try to I'll do role-playing events. I'll try to figure out what they're actually going through, because that's really what the bottom line is, what they're going through. You can't just be prepared to have something to say without even understanding the particulars of the situation. So I like to tell a lot of stories. I like to do a lot of role-playing. I like to involve the participants. I don't like it, they don't have to take notes. It's good if they catch something that's interesting and everything, but our training is direct application and immediate application. So when you're learning in our environment, you're also applying in that same environment. So through repetition, it motivates them, and at the same time, they actually acquire it and they learn it immediately, right on the spot.
That's right. That is true. Now, you did talk about emotional intelligence. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, of course. Emotional intelligence is one of my core values and core training aspects that I provide. Now, emotional intelligence is one of the most important aspects that any person needs to acquire if they don't already. Emotional intelligence is basically the ability to manage your emotions and the emotions of others. So why is this important? And the bottom line why this is important is because you may know the smartest, most technical person in the world. They could have had 1,600 on their SATs. They probably scored 100 on all of their test scores. But the bottom line is, if you can't communicate effectively, negotiate situations, persuade others, and earn the trust of others by being able to manage your emotions and controlling your emotions, you won't add any value, much value, in the long term in any career. Emotional intelligence is one of those foundational cores that you can carry with you in any environment. You can be a scientist and then transfer over to taking on another profession. The one constant is that emotional intelligence is going to be the key factor that's going to be able to help you thrive in that work environment, get promoted. It's going to help you engage in your career and be successful at anything you do.
That's right. All right.
One of the things, this is another thing about emotional intelligence is that, there are some famous people. John F. Kennedy, Madonna, a lot of other famous people who've just done exceptionally well in their career and IQ scores. But that means nothing. It means nothing if you're not able to talk to people professionally and to be able to manage stressful and pressure situations. If you can't handle conflict well, if you can't be able to take poor feedback well, then you're not going to be able to do much in the world. You won't be able to engage partnerships. And that's one of the things that, especially in this economic climate where there's so much austerity, there's so many people looking for work and not finding the kind of job that they really want to have, emotional intelligence is going to be that component that's going to help you last in that job that you don't like, because you'll be able to manage the emotions and your own stressful situation to be able to survive at that moment until you're able to find the passion that you want.
Yeah, you know what, Eric, it's funny you bring that up, man, because, the agency we're at, most of the people come in, they wouldn't take anybody without a college degree, so you're going to find yourself starting out at the bottom. And,
right.
And they're not the best jobs. Of course, the one I came in through was very interesting because there was a lot to learn, but you have people coming through the door that's starting off in customer service, being on the phones for 8 hours, or they're starting out as clerks. They're not blessed enough to come through to be a technician, because that's pretty much the core of the business, is being a technician. Now, what's so funny is a lot of them are having problems with their emotional intelligence, and you can tell it's happening in their attendance, just being motivated on the job. And that's when I came to management. I said, I think you guys are going to be at a point that you have to find ways to entertain these people because they too smart doing what they're doing, and it's going to bore them, and it's going to show up on their leave record and other things, and their attitude, and then it's going to frustrate the managers because they can't get them to work because, you can't tell them you need to do these many cases or whatever a day because you just can't do that. So what are you going to do? And I was talking to the top guy of HR, and he said we knew that was going to be a problem because, one, the way things had happened where, people were retiring and leaving, so the baton wasn't passed while that person was sitting at the desk. It was happening while they was going through the door. So that means you started off frustrated because you don't have any seasoned people doing the training.
Right.
So now you're having issues now because you're losing management. You lost seasoned technicians. And so now you have to take some of your better technicians and make those managers. But now you don't have time to do a lot of the soft skills training you just met. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not sure if you've ever been in the payment centers, but they really could use a lot of the service that you have right here. That's like one of their biggest issues. And it's showing up now because I know you're probably seeing a big article came out in the Sun about the exact same thing we're talking about. And it's starting to affect them in the areas of discrimination, and all kinds of things are starting to come out in it, illegal things.
Right.
And that's because they didn't have the time to really train the managers the way they should have been trained. And now they got what they got. So I'm not sure if you got a chance to follow, but it just came out in the Sun that they were having problems with EEOC complaints. Yeah.
Well, that's a very, you're right, that's a very serious and concerning issue. And I think what you did was just hit it right on, because when employees aren't motivated, there's a trickle-down effect. It doesn't only hinder motivation and satisfaction, it's an economic hit.
Yep.
I mean, investing in employees, whether it's to remove an employee, take a disciplinary action, to invest in hiring, all of those costs, about a few years ago, there was an estimated amount that cost was almost $360 million invested in employees.
Wow.
And that's an incredible figure. Why would you not invest appropriately in the training and the mentoring and coaching of the people that are actually producing the outputs and representing any agency? You're exactly right. Individuals working in the front line of the line of work that we currently provide for public service is an important component of what we do. It's highly political and very personal. So it's no surprise when people come into to offices complaining and just frustrated with why things aren't going on the way that it should, why they aren't getting paid timely, why they received a notice that's very confusing, and it goes on and on and on. And what happens is people get stressed, they get tired, they get fed up. All of a sudden, all employees are the same. And then at the same time, people have a sense of apathy. It becomes a regular 9-to-5 job. I'm just doing what I can do to make ends meet. I'm getting my payment. That's all I'm going to get. And at the end of the day, there's so many things that suffer as a result of that because customers that come in, they feel like they're not being attended to. And then they complain and they voice their concerns all politically. Now, emotional intelligence is going to teach employees to deal with those stressful situations, to be able to understand the situation and to be able to respond appropriately. One of the last workshop that I provided a couple of weeks ago to a local high school was a 3-step approach. Identify, evaluate, and control your emotions. Those are the basic things that you need to do in order to survive in the kind of work environment that you have to have. It doesn't matter if it's public service. It could be any environment that deals with people, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a stakeholder. It doesn't matter. Once you identify your emotions, you understand at that moment why you're stressed or why you're feeling a certain way. After you identify, you evaluate not just your emotions and situations, but the situation that the other person's going through. So this requires a sense of empathy, which is something that not only employees need to continue to discover, but sometimes first-line supervisors and management, they lack. And when you're not able to empathize, you don't understand the situation. Sometimes you have to assume you're wrong when you're dealing and when you're in conflict. It's okay to do that. That allows you to understand what the other person is going through. Assume you're wrong. And then once you evaluate your emotions, you can control how you want to bring it, because you never know what's on the line, what you're going to say. You know, countless times, Jerry, the situations you've been in when you've received that nasty email or that bitter phone call, and sometimes you just want to call that person and respond back in the most inappropriate way. You know, and sometimes people do that, and it bites them. At the end, they regret that. And that's what we don't want to happen. We don't want to invest and waste dollars, $360 million, like I said, you know, the last few years, and employee costs to develop these employees and only to see them go. That's one unique thing that our business applies to, is that we try to focus on employees that have been with a certain environment, a certain work environment, within the first 1 to 5 years. That's the sweet spot where people have that tendency to want to either leave or figure out what else they want to do. And sometimes, you know, right now in this economic environment, people are thirsty for a job, and they're willing to stay with it, but they're not going to do it if it's going to damage their integrity, if it's going to do something that's not going to be healthy for them, emotionally or mentally.
That's right. But, you know, it's funny. It looks like the economy is showing some growth. It is showing growth right now. There's a lot of hiring going on with the federal government, which is going to be a trickle-down effect towards, you know, other businesses, contractors. Everybody's going to be getting a little piece of the pie. But now the people you're talking about saying that their eyes are wide open now, like, whoa, what? Did somebody say a new job? You know, now you're talking about somebody you invested all that money into, and because they were so unhappy, now they're ready to jump. Because sometimes I have found years ago that people stayed in, especially African Americans, we stayed in jobs for a very long time if we liked our boss, you know, because private sectors, managers are a little bit more loyal to the company. The company is more loyal to them. They giving them bonus checks to keep them in their seat. If somebody make an offer, they want to give them a chance to make a counter offer because they got some value to the company. I find with government, especially when we're in, there's no loyalty, man. They shuffle managers around, and next thing you know, the employee has to start over again and prove himself to a new manager. And in some cases, if it was a bad employee, that may be a good thing for him. But, of course, they're going to call up and ask about who that person is. But that was one of the biggest squabbles I had with that agency, is that there's no loyalty. Even when it comes to the ACs, they just move around. It's like, wow, you gotta make your move quick before your boss is gone, because I call them sponsors. If you're a good worker and you're looking for a promotion, you need somebody to sponsor you, somebody that's going to speak up for you. I'm going to tell you something that was real interesting, man. I read that was been forwarded around through some HR reps, recruiters, and top-level managers in the defense contractor industry. Big companies, Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, those kind of companies. What was out there was the COO of Google said that he said his workforce is made up of 14% of his managers don't have college degrees. And I was like, whoa. And he said he found them to be his better managers because one, they were former athletes. And he said they had all the skill sets that it takes to develop a strong leader. He said, one, they were really good with conflict. Two, they had no problem stepping back, say, hey, if you got a better idea than mine, let's hear it. very humble, and they're very humble because, playing football, you never know you cross the line of scrimmage. That could be your last game, so you can't be taunting your opponent. So, so he found these leaders to be some of the better forms of leaders. And I think he's putting it out there because he don't want people to say, oh, because you don't have a master's degree or in just a bachelor's, you can't be a manager. And he's proven that to be wrong. And then another piece came out last week that was on the radio. They're saying, do men make better managers than women? And a lot of them believed them. They said yes, because they said women are too emotional. And that's when we go back to your emotional intelligence. Do they need more of this type of training than a man? That's my question.
What? That's a good question. But you know what I feel? I think emotional intelligence is something that we all need to acquire. The bottom line is not everyone is born with emotional intelligence. But the good thing about it is that you can acquire it. When you refer to those athletes that seem to be more effective managers than the people who had master's degrees, that's because what you said, those are emotional intelligence traits, the ones that are able to deal with conflict. Now, you could have probably brought in a female athlete in that situation, and she probably could have fared very well the same. Now, to tie that into it, one of the things that we do, like I said before, is when we come in, when we consult, we do an assessment, and the assessment is probably very paramount into identifying the actual problem, because I think we all respond to conflict differently. We all have certain issues. So to know what problem we need to address, we need to identify what the problem is in order to find that solution. And so I think between whether a female needs more emotional intelligence than a male, I don't think that's the case. I think that we can all benefit from that because, sometimes, men have egos. We have that pride going on, and sometimes we don't want to admit when we're wrong. And part of being successful, part of being humble, part of being a professional, part of having emotional intelligence is to have that sense of humility, to admit when there is a mistake, to be able to agree with the right approach. And like I said, I can't enforce it enough. The assessment that we provide, that gives us the starting point. That gives us the barometer to know where the needs need to go, because somebody can have a low emotional intelligence, somebody can have a high emotional intelligence, and they can be in the same room. But the good thing about our training is that we're able to provide workshops and provide engagement activities that can unite that all together. And that leads us to one of our other things is about team building. Emotional intelligence is one subcomponent of team building, or vice versa. Team building is the same thing as same component as emotional intelligence. You need to be able to work with people, and at the end of the day, you may not like that person, but you got to work with them.
That's right. And that's when an effective leader comes into play. Now, I told you guys in the beginning of the summit, I told the young men that I was actually in a leadership development program, and I was involved with rotational assignments in my home component. It may be a chance I probably will go back. I'm actually working for them during the weekend, and it could be a good chance I could go back until something opens up that I think I would enjoy doing. But I was, telling some people, I said, wow, what do you really enjoy doing? And I said, I really love being a manager, working over in the payment center, because I felt like a lot of the people that were there, a lot of them were young, fresh out of college. It probably was their first professional job, career job, and they didn't really know the politics. So it's like you feel like you're a coach, not just a manager. And I'm saying, look, I'm here to serve you and help you. I'm not just here to just keep trying to crank work out of you. That's not my job. I want to try to, motivate you. And at the same time, we want you to do good work, because we all have the same goals as the front office. And that's we got certain things we have to get done. But while we're doing that, we want to kind of be able to live together. That's what I call it. So when you talk about leadership development, what's some of the things you guys are teaching companies who having problems with morale and managers being ousted of positions because the goals are more important than the people? What are you offering in that area for leadership development?
Well, leadership development, we offer a variety of aspects for leadership development. We talked a lot about emotional intelligence, but another piece is diversity, and that is accepting and being able to deal with all types of people, all types of backgrounds, people of different ages, and also people of different color and opposite genders. We talked before about women, and to be honest with you, women, they're undervalued at the workplace. They also are effective leaders, and showing that level of empathy, which women have definitely time and time again have been able to provide, and being able to empower people is what really helps out with employees. They become satisfied when people empower them. And some of my greatest mentors have been women. I wouldn't be here today without women, without my mom, definitely, but definitely without my mentor at the company that I work for right now. She's been very supportive because she's been able to empower me, and that's one of the things that I've been able to employ in my daily work life and also in my regular training, and that applies directly with leadership development. We deal a lot with micromanagers, people that are too afraid to let somebody do the job that they need to do. Well, they're there for a reason. And sometimes the managers, they're promoted and they may not be effective enough is because they've been hired based on how well they did their prior job. How much of a technical job that they've done. And they don't necessarily equal an effective leader. All right? Okay. And now leadership development to me is all about people. It's all about understanding. It's all about diversity, being able to talk to people in certain situations and just be professional about it and leave the egos and leave the personal issues aside. That's what separates effective leaders from ineffective leaders and managers as well. Right. Leadership development, I think, right now is definitely lacking, especially at where we're going. And I know we have a lot of staff turnover, which leads to definitely more ineffective leaders and ineffective personnel that are working for them, because you have to remember that people, who've been with the agency, who've been with different places for a long period of time, they have that institutional knowledge. And with them gone, that removes an entire layer of experience, of knowledge, of leadership, and that's sorely missing, especially what we've gone through the past few years.
That's right. Been trying. Very trying period. All right. Now, Eric, we got a little bit of time left before we close the show out. And one of the things I wanted you to talk a little bit more about is your company's mission statement. What are you guys bringing? How are you serving? What are you bringing to the table, and how you think you can go into a company and be effective?
Well, we tailor our training. Like I said, the key name is Tailored Training Solutions. And what we do is we tailor our training to meet the needs of the ever-changing business environment. We serve a variety of people. It doesn't matter if you're in high school, if you're in college, if it's a small business or a large business. What we do is we help everyone, and that's my core mission, is to help people improve and thrive in the work environment. Whether it's a small business, large business, one-on-one, it doesn't matter. The thing that makes us unique is that, like I said before, we do multiple visits. We do the initial consultation. That includes the assessment. We do follow-ups. And we also conduct our training and workshops and professional speeches in Spanish. We can do it. We can do this training nationally or internationally, and that's one of the things that we set out for. We prove our mission statement by serving as many people as we can.
Good. All right. Now, Eric. Now, one of the things, listening to you talk about companies, what can an individual do, or what can your company offer individuals who want to just go out on their own to find this type of soft skill training? You know, say that company's not paying for it. There's no in-house training. There's no contractor coming in like you. But, I mean, how could they find you? You know, are you guys promoting, advertising? Are you doing group sessions where people who have had problems on the job or frustrated need some kind of soft skill training that you offer? Can they find you? Do you do that kind of thing?
Absolutely. It's all of the above, Jerry. We are available online. We take calls. If anyone wants to get in touch with us, our number is 1-866-934-9945. Our website is www.tailoredtrainingsolutions.com. You can contact me at williamson@tailoredtrainingsolutions.com. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. We are everywhere possible. And all we want to do is help people. We serve people one-on-one. We work with people in group sessions. It doesn't matter. We think that we really have a purpose and a value to share, and all we want to do is see people improve, whether you want to get promoted or whether you want to just do your job and deal with the situations and the challenges that you currently deal with at that moment.
That's right. That's right, because they're out there, man. Like you said, it hasn't been a lot of movement in the last few years, and people are stuck in jobs that they thought they was going to just move right on out of. Because I remember hearing a lot of these promises that were made by several companies that I was recruited to work for. And then when I got there, I was like, wow, this place needs to be fixed first, you know. But I'm not in that position to be the fixer, you know.
Well, and you know, I'm sorry. I just want to add one more thing. And that's another one of the differences with the training. I mean, I know me and you, we both have been involved in lots of training, a lot of soft skills training. And I don't know about you, but sometimes we say, you know what? I wish this person would attend it, or I wish, you know, my boss would attending it. And that's one of the pitfalls of the training, because you may be motivated, but if your boss or your upper management doesn't buy into it, then how can you move forward? Well, what this training solves is that we address both aspects of it. You may not be able to control the situation of your boss, but you can control yourself, and you can manage situations. And that's what we want to do. We understand that there's only so much that you can do as far as, you know, getting out of a situation or going to another job. But what you can do is, what we do is we teach you how to manage yourself and manage that situation as best as possible.
That's right. Amen. All right. We appreciate you being on the show, man. Really do, man. I mean, you brought a lot to the table. I know a lot of people probably thinking, wow, if he can just come into my company and fix my boss or the upper management team, it would be a, you know, because some people do love their jobs. They just don't love their company or love their agency. You know, they love the people they work with, but it's like if you can just bring everybody together and then everybody receive it at the same time, it'd be a better world. But that's something that upper management, I've never seen it done before. I know a lot of the .com companies, they're younger guys. They don't have no problems pulling up their shirt sleeves and sitting in on the workshops like everybody else, because they made a little different than what's been out there since I guess you can say the 70s and, well, no more the 40s and the 50s babies are a little different than the 70s and the 80s babies. Don't you think?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's right. All right, man, we got to get out here. We got another guest coming on, and I appreciate you coming. That's Eric Williamson, ladies and gentlemen. He's at tailoredtrainingsolutions.com. If, you know, maybe you can slip his website into your boss if you think he needs it. The phone number, again, is 866-934-9945. All right. And this is positivepower21.org. I'm jerry-rouce, the voice. Thank you for tuning in. We have another show coming up in 15 minutes, and stick around and enjoy more and more exciting guests. I'm jerry-rouce. Take care, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good evening. All right. That's a wrap.
All right. What do you think, man?
All right, we're going to close out the minute here to Positive Power 21.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Team 21. Okay, bro. Thanks for coming on, man.
Please
spread Thank you. Word. All right. Bye-bye.
This is Jerry-Royce at Positive Power 21, where we get our positive on.